Psalm 91 prayer will heal you in one night, beloved. Hear me well. There is a secret hidden in plain sight, a mystery preserved for those who dare to believe, and it is found in the living words of Psalm 91. This is not merely a prayer to recite. It is a doorway into the dwelling place of the Most High, where healing is not begged for but received as already accomplished. When you take these words into your heart and let them saturate your mind before you close your eyes at night, you enter into a covenant of protection, of peace, and of restoration that no sickness, no fear, no darkness can resist. The power of this psalm is not in the sound of the verses alone, but in the faith with which you embody them. For as you sleep, the Spirit works, renewing cells, calming the mind, lifting burdens, and aligning your body with divine health. Many spend years searching for remedies, chasing cures, yet the secret is here: one night, one prayer, one surrender into the shelter of the Almighty, and you will awaken not the same as you were, but whole, refreshed, and healed. The secret dwelling place, there is a place within you, a sanctuary not built by hands, a dwelling not of bricks or stone, but of spirit and assurance, and this place is the very essence of Psalm 91, the secret place of the Most High. To dwell here is not to travel to a distant temple or climb to some holy mountain. It is to withdraw into the inner chamber of your being, where divine presence is the atmosphere of your soul. This is where healing is born, not as a future hope, but as a present reality. For when you abide in the shadow of the Almighty, you are not seeking safety or health outside yourself. You are discovering that you were never without it. Illness, fear, and uncertainty are conditions of life. Mind estranged from this inner dwelling, but the moment you return, the moment you declare within yourself, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust, all that appeared broken begins to realign with perfection. Imagine the body as a garden and the secret dwelling place as the river that waters it. When you remain connected, life flourishes. When cut off, dryness and decay creep in. But here is the truth: you have never been cut off, only unaware. The prayer of Psalm 91 is the reminder that you are already under the wings of the Almighty, already embraced, already shielded. Dwell means to stay, to remain, to make your home there in faith. It is not a fleeting visit when troubles come, but a permanent residence in divine assurance. And what does it mean to abide in this place? It means to shift your focus from the noise of the world to the stillness within, to replace the whispers of fear with the declarations of faith, to choose again and again to live in the consciousness of safety, healing, and wholeness. When the psalm declares, "No plague shall come near your dwelling," it is not only speaking of your physical house, but of the inner temple of your mind and spirit. Fear cannot live there, sickness cannot take root there, because the dwelling place is saturated with the presence of God Himself. And when you claim this truth as your reality, healing becomes natural, automatic, and effortless. You are not striving for health. You are resting in awareness that health is your divine inheritance. Many struggle with the idea of immediate healing, believing it must come through time, treatment, or toil. But Psalm 91 reveals a higher truth. Healing flows from abiding, not from striving. When you surrender to the secret place in prayer, especially at night, you allow the divine to do what no medicine, no effort, no reasoning can do. You fall asleep not in anxiety but in assurance, and as your body rests, the Almighty renews, restores, and heals. You awaken different, stronger, lighter, clearer, because you have remembered where you dwell. The greatest illness is forgetfulness of this place, the illusion of separation. But the moment you awaken to the fact that you already dwell under His shadow, every cell responds, every thought reorders, every fear dissolves. You do not need to fight for healing. You need only to rest in the reality that you are already whole in Him. The secret dwelling place is not a promise for tomorrow. It is the invitation for tonight. If you dare to enter, if you dare to stay, you will know that Psalm 91 is not poetry. It is power, it is life, it is healing in one night. Healing is already yours. Healing is not something you beg for, nor is it a gift God withholds until you have proven yourself worthy. It is your divine inheritance, already finished, already given, already dwelling within you, waiting only for your recognition. Psalm 91 is not a prayer asking for what you lack. It is the revelation of what is eternally yours in the secret place of the Most High. To cry out for healing as though it is distant is to deny that it has already been spoken over you, and to wait for healing as if it must one day arrive is to live in delay. when the truth is that it has been present from the very beginning. You are not seeking wholeness, you are uncovering it. The words of Psalm 91, "With long life I will satisfy you and show you my salvation," do not point to a hope that may or may not come. They reveal a certainty, a decree from the eternal that life, health, and salvation are your portion now. Consider the body. Every cell, every organ is designed with intelligence and renewal, for the very breath of God is what animates you. When illness strikes, it is not that you are suddenly abandoned by divine life, but that your awareness has drifted from the truth of who you are. Fear, doubt, and despair take hold, and the body mirrors the turmoil of the mind. Yet the moment you return to the dwelling place of assurance, the body responds in obedience, because it was always meant to reflect the spirit. Healing, then, is not a battle to force the body into wholeness. It is the gentle remembrance that wholeness is its natural state. When you pray Psalm 91, you are not asking God to change his will. You are aligning yourself with the will that has never changed. He has always willed your health, your peace, your restoration. The promise, "No evil shall befall you, neither shall any plague come near your dwelling," is not a poetic exaggeration, but a divine reality that your spirit must claim as true before your body can manifest it. And the claiming is simple: believe, rest, receive. To say healing is already mine is not arrogance, it is humility, for you are acknowledging the greatness of God's work rather than the limitations of your circumstances. The problem with many is that they look at symptoms, they measure pain, they track progress, and then they conclude whether healing is possible. But healing does not bow to evidence. It creates new evidence. The truth precedes the manifestation, so when you stand on Psalm 91, you do not wait for healing to prove itself. You declare healing as done, and then the body must conform. The night becomes the most sacred moment for this recognition, because when you speak this truth before sleep, you bypass the resistance of the conscious mind and allow the deeper spirit to imprint upon the body. While you rest, healing unfolds, not as something new, but as the unveiling of what has always been. You awaken not because the prayer worked overnight, but because the prayer removed the veil that blinded you from what was already yours. Think of a seed. The tree is already in it, yet hidden until the right conditions draw it forth. Healing is the same. The wholeness is in you, contained in your very being, and prayer creates the conditions for it to spring forth into visible expression. The mistake is to beg as though the seed were empty, to plead as though healing is not there. But once you know it is, your prayer shifts. You no longer ask, you affirm. You no longer worry, you rest. You no longer chase, you dwell. The words of Psalm 91 become your declaration, your reminder, your anchor. And when you take this posture, miracles are not delayed. They appear inevitable because you have aligned with the truth that was always present. Healing is not a reward, it is recognition. It is not earned, it is accepted. And once you truly accept it, once you let the reality of Psalm 91 sink so deeply that fear has no room left in you, the body can do nothing but obey. For spirit commands matter, truth overrides illusion, and what has always been yours becomes visible in your life. Beloved, the time to claim this is now, not tomorrow, not after more suffering, not after proof appears. Healing is already yours. Speak it, believe it, dwell in it, and tonight as you sleep in that assurance, you will awaken in the morning to the manifestation of what was never absent but always within you. The power of night, surrender. There is a mystery in the hours of the night, a holy doorway that opens when the world grows silent, when the noise of the day dissolves, and when the soul stands at the threshold of surrender, ready to release all struggle into the arms of the Almighty. Psalm 91 is most potent in these sacred hours, for it was never meant to be merely spoken in the light of activity, but to be impressed upon the heart in the stillness of night. Why? Because at night your conscious defenses fall away, your reasoning grows quiet, your striving ceases, and what remains is the vulnerable yet powerful state of your deeper mind. This is where the words of prayer are no longer just heard, they are planted. To speak Psalm 91 before you sleep is to sow seeds of divine protection and healing in the fertile soil of the subconscious, where they will take root and grow while you rest. It is not in the struggle of your effort, but in the surrender of your trust that miracles unfold. For what can you add to healing by worry? What can you contribute to restoration by fear? Nothing. But when you release it into the keeping of God as you drift into slumber, You give permission for the unseen hand to work without interference. The night becomes a holy physician chamber where every cell is touched, every thought is reordered, every wound is mended by the Spirit, who neither slumbers nor sleeps. The verse, "He shall give his angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways," takes on new meaning here, for it is in the night that angels move most freely, ministering, guarding, and aligning you with divine wholeness. The mind may resist in the day, but at night it is more pliable, more open, more ready to be impressed with truth. That is why fear at night is so destructive. It seeps in unnoticed and magnifies itself while you are unguarded. But that is also why faith at night is so powerful. It seeps in deeper and manifests healing with unexplainable speed. Imagine ending your day with the declaration, "I dwell in the secret place of the Most High. I abide under the shadow of the Almighty," and then releasing every care, every ache, every fear into his keeping. You fall asleep not clinging to problems but resting in promises, and in that surrender something sacred happens. The body begins to restore itself under the authority of divine assurance. The spirit realigns the mind with peace, and the subconscious accepts healing as fact rather than as hope. By morning you awaken lighter, stronger, renewed, and the change feels effortless because you did not force it. You allowed it. That is the power of night surrender. The world teaches you to fight for healing, to chase it, to work for it. But Psalm 91 teaches you to rest in it, to trust that the Almighty shields you in the night hours when you cannot shield yourself. Consider the promise, "You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day." Night is mentioned first because it is in those hidden hours that fear creeps in most subtly. Yet it is also in those hours that faith can anchor you most firmly. If you take your fear to bed, it multiplies. If you take Psalm 91 to bed, it magnifies. Healing is not delayed when you surrender. It is accelerated because the Spirit is free to work unhindered, and surrender is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength, for it says, "I release control because I trust the one who holds me." The power of night surrender is not in what you do, but in what you let go of. The hands of God cannot move freely in a clenched heart, but the moment you open in trust, his power rushes in like a river. Beloved, let your nights become your healing ground. Let Psalm 91 be the last sound in your mind, the last truth upon your lips, and the last assurance in your heart before sleep. For as you rest, the Almighty fights for you, heals you, renews you. You do not awaken by chance, you awaken healed by grace. Fear cannot enter the shelter. The great secret hidden in Psalm 91 is that fear has no authority in the dwelling place of the Most High. And until you recognize this, you will always feel as though healing must fight its way through obstacles to reach you. But once you awaken to the truth that fear cannot cross the threshold of the secret place, you will understand why healing can be so immediate, so complete, and so permanent. The psalm declares, "You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday." These are not poetic exaggerations, they are spiritual laws. Fear is the open door through which sickness, despair, and weakness attempt to enter, but faith closes it, seals it, and replaces it with divine assurance. The reason so many struggle with prolonged illness or prolonged anxiety is not because healing is absent, but because fear is present, and fear, when entertained, becomes a guest that takes over the entire house. Yet Psalm 91 offers a different dwelling, a place where fear cannot lodge, where it is denied entry, where only peace, wholeness, and safety reside. To abide in this shelter is to live in the vibration of assurance so high that fear dissolves on contact, unable to attach itself to you. Think of a shadow. You cannot grasp it, you cannot hold it, it cannot harm you. So it is with fear once you are under the shadow of the Almighty. It may attempt to approach, but it has no substance, no power, no ability to harm you. Healing flows naturally in such an atmosphere because the greatest enemy of healing, fear, is no longer permitted to dwell. Fear creates tension in the body, disease in the mind, and separation in the spirit. It weakens the immune system, clouds the judgment, and robs the soul of rest. But faith, born from the shelter of divine presence, reverses it all. Faith relaxes the body into restoration, clears the mind with peace, and strengthens the spirit with conviction. This is why You cannot serve two masters. You cannot cling to fear and expect faith to manifest. You must choose, moment by moment, to step into the shelter where fear has no key. The truth is, fear is not real power, it is only misplaced imagination. It is your own creative faculty misused, painting images of harm where none exist, creating shadows of sickness where healing is already established. Psalm 91 reclaims that imagination, turning it toward faith, toward divine protection, toward wholeness. When you meditate on its words, you are not simply reciting promises, you are reprogramming your inner vision to see only shelter, only safety, only health. And when fear tries to whisper, you can boldly declare, 1,000 may fall at my side, 10,000 at my right hand, but it shall not come near me. This is not denial, this is alignment with divine truth, for even when the world trembles, even when others fall to sickness or despair, the one who dwells in the shelter remains untouched, not because the world changes, but because your dwelling place is above the reach of fear. Healing manifests in that place because the environment is pure, untouched by doubt, unpolluted by anxiety. If you could see with spiritual eyes, you would notice that fear is nothing but a fog. It blinds, it clouds, it hides the truth of your healing. But the moment you step into the shelter, the fog clears, the light breaks through, and you see that health was always there, waiting for you to notice. This is why healing can happen in one night, because the instant you release fear and claim the shelter, the body, mind, and spirit have no choice but to respond to the higher truth. Fear delays, faith accelerates. Fear resists, faith allows. Fear closes, faith opens, and the shelter of the Almighty the space where only faith can breathe. So, beloved, if you desire healing, let your first step not be to fight sickness, but to expel fear. Replace every fearful thought with the declaration of Psalm 91, and every time fear tries to return, remind it that it has no dwelling here. Your shelter is sacred, your temple is divine, and fear is forbidden entry. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes, until one night you find yourself resting in perfect peace, and in the morning you awaken not only free from fear, but free from the sickness it sustained. Fear cannot enter the shelter, and once you accept this, healing becomes not a struggle but a certainty, not a process but a revelation of what was always yours in the presence of the Almighty. The healing manifestation, the culmination of Psalm 91, is not only assurance but visible manifestation, for what you declare in faith must eventually reveal itself in the body, the mind, and the circumstances of your life, and this is the mystery of the healing that comes in one night. The prayer is not waiting on time, it is waiting on recognition. Healing manifests the moment you shift from begging to believing, from hoping to knowing, from reciting words to embodying them as living truth, and when that shift happens, the body aligns as though commanded by a higher law. Consider how the psalm ends, with long life will I satisfy him, and show him my salvation. This is not merely a poetic promise for eternity. It is the unveiling of divine health here and now. To see his salvation is to see wholeness revealed in your own flesh, to experience the lifting of pain, the dissolving of sickness, the renewal of strength that feels almost too sudden to be explained. Many think healing is gradual, but manifestation is instantaneous. What seems gradual is only the body catching up to the truth that already existed in spirit. The night makes this transition easier, because as you surrender into sleep with Psalm 91 echoing in your soul, you leave behind the resistance of logic and allow the truth of healing to be planted like a seed. And seeds, once planted, must manifest their nature. The seed of Psalm 91 cannot bear anything but wholeness, cannot grow into anything but protection, peace, and vitality. To manifest healing is not to create something new. It is to uncover what was always present beneath the veil of fear and illusion. You are not calling health from a distant heaven. You are letting it rise from within, from the divine spark that has never been touched by illness, never been stained by weakness, never been diminished by time. That divine spark is the Christ within, the eternal life of God that animates your being, and Psalm 91 serves as the key that unlocks it, releasing it into expression. Manifestation begins when you stop measuring symptoms and start magnifying promises, when you cease giving your energy to fear and begin dwelling only in the shelter of assurance. And once you fix your gaze there, healing begins to show itself in ways that cannot be denied. The pain eases, the mind clears, the heart calms, the body strengthens. not because you forced it, but because you finally allowed what was already finished to reveal itself. Manifestation is the evidence of alignment. The moment you align with the truth that no plague shall come near your dwelling, the body has no choice but to comply, because spirit governs matter and faith governs reality. The angels assigned to you, spoken of in the psalm, are not only spiritual messengers, but living forces of protection and restoration, working in ways beyond human comprehension to ensure that what has been decreed over you becomes visible through you. Healing manifestation is not a someday promise, it is a now reality, for the eternal God does not dwell in tomorrow, but in the eternal present, and when you step into that present by faith, the delay dissolves. You realize the healing you thought was far away was already yours, and in that moment it shows itself. This is why people awaken after praying Psalm 91 at night and feel new in the morning. The shift of recognition has taken root, the body has obeyed the spirit, and manifestation has followed belief. Healing does not come by chance, it comes by law, the law of faith, the law of dwelling in the secret place where fear cannot enter. And once it manifests, it does not vanish, for what God establishes is eternal. Beloved, see yourself now as whole even before the evidence appears, because the seeing is the doorway to the manifestation. Speak the words of Psalm 91 not as a plea but as a proclamation, not as hope but as certainty, and as you do, the healing that has always been yours will appear in your flesh, in your mind, in your life. By morning you will rise not the same as you were, but transformed, because manifestation always follows faith, and faith has already declared, you are healed.